Great. Back up app and some log in.
The applicants will be remote as well.
Yeah, it's called. Hi, Gordon. Can you hear us okay?
There we go. Hey, sorry about that.
Not a problem. We're still waiting for one of our commissioners, so let's just hold for minutes.
And I think Warren is joining. Let's see if we can get her.
You can close this on.
Yeah. You noticed that?
Right there. That's set for the conference room.
Nice table. Can I set up? On certain tables, you can see like it builds up like a mold of mildew.
Mm. So Adam realized it was at 6 o'clock today.
Yeah.
The email did say it, but yeah, it's easy to miss. Might we give him 5 more minutes?
No, it's fine with me. Yeah, I'm wondering if you, I mean, I saw the 6th and I assumed that was right. I think we didn't have a. You mixed me up with the last time we did 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it was last meeting.
Does say 6 in 2 places, so. I always forget your first name.
Gordon, we're gonna get going here.
Send the link to her?
Yeah, I did. Let me see. Ask her. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Was there a person named Warren that tried to join the meeting?
Yeah, I see her.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I can promote her to panelist.
Okay, great.
So there's where in there.
Mhm.
Hey, Warren. I think her Cameron. Nope. Here we go. Hey. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so this is the SARC meeting of August 9th, 2022. We are here with Commissioner Zisser. Commissioner Buckbinder is currently absent, but we will be proceeding. So as the applicants are aware, the SARC is a subcommittee of the Planning Commission intended to provide some preliminary feedback to the commission as a whole when the application is considered. This application is tentatively scheduled for the Planning Commission meeting of September 13th. And the feedback here will be communicated to the full Planning Commission as part of that staff report. So what we have this evening, let me share my screen. So this is a townhome development, 7 units, 7 lots with 1 common lot. This is on a currently high density designated property that's already been designated for this type of high density residential in the general plan. Currently has 1 single family house that would be removed and replaced with this townhome. The application is being submitted through the current conventional zoning under a site architecture review permit with a density bonus. Now, because the city's R3 zoning doesn't really accommodate for this level of intensity in really any respect in terms of height or setbacks, lot coverage, square footages, lot sizes, lot width, the application is exercising any number of waivers through provision of density bonus law that allows it to basically go beyond any limiting standard that would preclude development of the residential project at the density that is allowed under the general plan. The project is also proposing a single concession that allows existing overhead utilities to remain that are in front of the property on Union Avenue. So generally with these types of projects in the future, we'll have more objective development standards to review them. Currently, we do not have any of that. So we're really just kind of operating in a bit of a vacuum. Under the limitations of the Housing Accountability Act, we are really limited into what we can impose in terms of standards that are not currently on the books. So for most part, the ability of the city to limit the project is fairly cosmetic in terms of changes that don't materially impact the project with regard to the overall number of units or the size of the units. So just a quick overview what we're looking at. So this is the existing site with the house that would be removed. You have 7 narrow townhome units. These would have a entry level that would be a 2-car tandem garage being served by a single shared driveway. And then you would have the living space up above. With the exception of the front unit here that's designed for ADA accessibility. So it's a larger unit that has a ground floor bedroom living area that allows some usage by a person with physical disabilities. In terms of architectural design, on the slightly more conservative side, this was reviewed in an earlier iteration by the Planning Commission back in 2020 through a voluntary pre-app. The commission did provide some feedback of trying to do a more podium-based project, which ended up not being feasible in the end. So what we're looking at here is just a standard townhome construction. And with that, I'll take any questions you may have, or you feel free to ask questions of the applicant's team as well.
So just for clarification, you mentioned the common lot.
Yes.
Could you explain that to me so I understand?
Sure. So this will have a homeowners association.
Right.
So the common lot is basically the area of the project site that is not going to be individually owned by the homeowners. So if you look at the tentative subdivision map, that common lot is basically everything outside of the footprints of the buildings. So the common lot technically would be owned by the HOA, managed by the HOA.
Essentially driveway in the front.
Correct, and some of the back landscaping that's back
Yeah,
here.
okay, all right. So, I was new to the planning commission. I was just on the planning commission for a couple of months when we had reviewed this in December 2020. So, I probably listened more than comment at that time. And I've learned a lot since then. I do have some questions. I don't know if they're outside the limits of SARC, but I'll err in favor of more than less. Okay.
Sure.
So, I hadn't realized that the garage was a tandem, so you get two cars in it.
Correct.
Front to back, and you know, just for my edification, I looked at the layout. First of all, the square footage of each of the six is what, it's only 1,200 square feet?
Let's see, I think we put that in here
I
somewhere.
couldn't find it, so.
Do you have that number handy, kind of, Gordon, the average unit size?
Yeah, there is a breakdown under A001. You have that sheet. Or is that the wrong one?
Sure.
We have a breakdown here somewhere. Huh?
A001.
Not this one.
Where do you have the sheet number by any chance?
Let's see.
I don't feel so bad. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, so this project has so many pages now. It's just,
I already did.
this is the open space.
All right.
It's open space.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought I noted it in here.
There's an open space diagram calc here somewhere.
Maybe there is.
I think I know it's in the density bonus. Let me see here.
Here it is.
104.
Oh, it's
That's
because
right.
they're on mute. That's why they can't. It's sheet A104, and there's a building summary.
I'm the wrong way.
So, for example, unit 1, including the garage, is 1,896 square feet.
There we go.
All right. So without the garage, what is it typically? It's
Roughly
about
about
1,200.
1,300. Yeah, roughly about 13.
1,300, okay.
Yeah.
And is the seventh unit in the front bigger?
7th unit in the front.
Yeah, the ADA unit is larger. That has an additional bedroom. If I
Okay, so these are, the 6 are 2 bedrooms and then the 7th is a 3 bedroom?
there's, I believe the 6 are 3 bedroom and 7th is a 4 bedroom. There's an additional bedroom on the ground floor.
Oh, there's an additional bedroom on the ground floor. That's what I didn't see. Okay.
Yeah, for the accessibility. Yeah.
Yeah, so that basically that if you're in a wheelchair, you can actually live in the unit.
So unit 7 is roughly about 2,000 square feet, including the garage. It's roughly about 2,500.
So where's the ground floor bedroom in the,
Right here. So this would be the entryway.
oh, that's the front unit.
This is the front unit.
Yeah, but the other units you're saying are 3 bedroom?
Yeah, the bedrooms are all on the upper floors.
Okay, I only saw 2. I saw 2 bedrooms on the second floor, and then just the kitchen dining areas.
You've got to go to the 3rd floor. There's a 3rd floor.
Right, which isn't without where the kitchen and the dining area and the living room is?
Yes, correct. So then
And there's another room?
in that,
There's-
if you look at unit 7, yeah, and then you go, so unit 7 is That is a four bedroom unit.
Okay.
It's quite
I couldn't. Okay. I couldn't see the third bedroom on the other ones.
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering, Gordon. Are they 2 bedroom? I was thinking they were 3 bedroom. I'm lost as I looked at the floor
are
plans.
2 bedrooms.
They are 2 bedrooms.
They are
Okay.
All 2 bedrooms. Unit 7 is a 4 bedroom.
Okay, so 2 bedrooms and a 4 bedroom. Okay.
Yeah. So the accessibility has more flexibility. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So again, I don't know if this is, in terms of livability kind of stuff. Is there a place for dryer and washer? Is that in the garage?
Yes. So washer and dryer. Let's see.
The back of the garage, or the side of the garage?
Yeah, you see it right here. There's a little laundry
Oh,
area.
there's a laundry area in the bedroom area.
Yeah, Bill, it's shoved in between. the
All right,
bathrooms,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was a linen closet.
yeah.
It's a stackable in the hallway. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Just a stack, yeah.
And again, it's just, I try to put myself in the place of an owner living there. Storage other than closets, is there storage in the garage?
Yes.
You put
lots of
cars
storage.
in it?
Yeah. They have a lot of storage in the garage. So
Good.
it's tandem, but underneath the stairs, it has all that
Oh, okay.
clear.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
You got-
So I was at first concerned about, moving on, I was first concerned about setbacks. But then I took another look at the site, and on Union Avenue, I was concerned about the 9-foot
Mhm.
setback from Union, right? It's a 9-foot setback from the street, from the sidewalk,
Okay.
you're asking for, right?
That's one of the concessions.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we are about 10 feet from the sidewalk, from the wall, the finished wall.
So I was just, I don't know if this is an error, but at the beginning of the agenda where you have the general project data, you have the 9-foot setback as the rear north. That can't be right?
Well, it's a little challenging how you actually describe the setbacks, because this right here, this is the separation from this property line to where this building is. But technically, remember looking at the parcel map, there's actually property lines through this building. So technically that property line hugs the building here. So functionally, technically, it doesn't actually have it has a 0 setback. So the setback that's at the rear, that's actually this over here.
Well, that's,
So this right here is just showing the physical distance, but technically this has a 0 setback because that property line is at the edge of the building.
Hmm.
If that makes sense. It's just kind of the nature of townhome.
because of,
Well, the townhomes, the property lines just hug the building,
I see.
with the exception of the.
But in terms of, so that's different than what the distance is from the sidewalk.
Yes,
Okay.
so this is, that's what this is showing.
All right. What is that number? Do we know?
Well, this number is 10 feet, so the functional setback, I would agree, is in fact 10 feet, but technically that property line is, this is just showing kind of what that building looks like from the.
So is that actually 10 feet to the wall?
To the wall, correct, and so you actually have the building.
Oh, those are the
approach-
eaves.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I even though I didn't understand exactly, I actually took a look at Union Avenue and saw that there were actually other places that have that small a setback that are, they're all all Union Avenue is
Higher density.
high density. Yeah. So, from McGlinchey to Campbell Avenue. So I decided that wasn't such a terrible thing. And of course, you've got the commercial places on the south and west. So I guess that's because of that. That's why it's okay to have a 0 setback on the south and west.
Well, I mean, the driveway has been situated here to provide a buffer from the industrial property to the south. So,
Yeah, but you're right up against that south property. There's a huge building with a big wall, right? So,
directly to the apartment building here.
no, I mean, on the left.
Daniel, we got a 3D model we can rotate around. You can kind of see how the massing.
6:30. Sorry.
That's right, 1 second, Gordon.
So on the south side where the driveway, drive in a driveway, and there's a commercial building that's set back. And first there's a block wall, and then there's the building, and the building's got about a 15-foot or more high wall, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right, and that's going to be right adjacent. That's going to be the edge of the parking lot, right?
Mhm.
Talking
Yeah.
about this right.
Yes, that wall right there.
Correct.
Yes.
So this is, yeah.
So that gets me to a question about any additional fencing or anything that you're going to do either on that side or on the back side or for that matter, on the north side, which has pretty lousy, crappy fencing, that faces the next door residential complex. Whether there's any fencing or walls that you were thinking of putting in as more attractive barriers,
Yeah,
or whether it was just going to be what it is.
we're proposing a new slatted fence all the way around the perimeter.
Okay, how tall?
6 feet.
So I realize I may be coming in the middle of this. Hi, Adam Bookbinder. I got the wrong time for this. That is my mistake. Apologies.
Yeah, missed by it. Yeah, we waited a few minutes and it was just kind of Daniel gave the intro, and then it's just been a few minutes that we've 10 minutes that we've gone over and asking questions. So,
Okay.
So you're
So I guess when I saw the description of the setbacks, it said 0, 0, 0, and 9 feet. What does the 0-foot setback mean in this context? That there's room for a fence and presumably room to walk between, like,
Sure.
the edge of the building and the fence?
So setbacks are a little tricky when it comes to townhomes. So setbacks are
Just
measured,
zero, right?
well, setbacks are measured from property line, exactly. So these buildings are sitting on these lots. So functionally, they have 0 front setbacks because they're at the front property line. This is their new property.
Oh, okay. These are 7 separate lots, each with a 0-foot setback. We're not talking about the entire
Yeah.
complex as one lot.
Exactly. So they have rear setbacks because you have these little backyards. So there is a distance between the edge of the building and that back property line. But along the front, that we're calling the front, along the driveway, and then also wrapping around the corner along Union, there's basically no setback because that property line hugs the building.
Exactly. Okay.
And so you do have a little setback though on lot 1 because there is a little bit of a distance between that property line and the edge of the building.
Okay, but those setbacks don't describe how much room there is between the buildings and the edge of the
Correct. So like,
larger lot, I guess.
exactly. So like at the front, this is actually something we picked up earlier. Building setback, I mean, this is identified as a setback, but this is really more just the distance, I suppose, between the front property line and the depth of the common lot to the building wall of 10 feet.
Okay.
so it's
So, yeah.
the front grassy area.
Yeah, and this is why, the staff report talks about the severe limitations of the R3 zoning, which is really not structured for townhomes. It's really more structured for 1970 style apartments. Which is why the project includes so many waivers to any number of development standards to make it possible.
Yeah, I realized, that when this first came to us, you put 5 units on a lot. And then I guess the commission, my recollection is the commission kind of pushed you in the direction of going and trying to get more units so that, including one for affordability. And you've ended up with putting 7 units on, and even though that doesn't make the 8-unit minimum, you're still going to do 1 affordable, right? Is that correct?
Well, so the issue at the planning commission was They needed to at least satisfy the lower end of the density range.
It's 21 to 27. per
Correct. So
acre.
that required them to either provide 7 or 8. That was the minimum and maximum. So they ended up at 7. And the density bonus allows them to get all the concessions, all the waivers in the single concession that otherwise would preclude the development of it. But there's no actual bonus per se. 'Cause with the
No actual what?
bonus, with a density bonus, you can actually get an increase in unit count. But you don't have to use that, provided that you provide the below market rate unit, which is what they're doing. They're providing the 1 BMR unit.
And that's where they're getting the concessions and the waivers.
Correct. So under state density bonus law, you get a single concession at this affordability level and unlimited waivers.
And the waivers are for things like the setbacks and the FAR and so on. So
That
I-
basically preclude construction.
yeah, I have a number of questions about like the R3 and so forth. They're not specific to this project. And I can get those till after the meeting or after they're done. I just have a number of questions I want
Sure.
to ask about that.
So, the other thing I noticed that, we were a little under the open space number. It's not very much. It's 280 versus 300, right? Is that correct?
Also, I noted in the staff report, there's not really an open space requirement because the R3 section basically says, if not a townhouse or condominium. And so the director has determined that that basically excludes the applicability of the open space requirement entirely. So there's just, there's a lack of a standard.
Okay, so in theory, they wouldn't have to even meet, they wouldn't have to meet that, is what you're saying.
Correct, but between the combination of the balconies and the little patios, they're hitting near, 280 square feet.
What about the landscaping? The landscaping is about half what is desirable,
Correct.
right? So,
And that's also, and this goes back to the kind of the logic of density bonus, because these footprints are as small as you can actually do a townhome, because you have 2 parking spaces. That's what's creating the minimum footprint of the building. So you have the minimum number of units the city's requiring. You have the minimally small footprint that you can actually do, plus the ADA units also required. Plus you need a driveway of a certain width. So once you do all those things, you're basically in a situation where you can't physically provide more. Now, I would note that the open space number that's in the report does not include the backyard area. So
The little private open spaces.
Correct. this is that we're counting this as open space, which is distinct from the landscaping, which is this area here and that area here, and this little tiny strip that runs along the side. So those are 2 different things.
So, I don't know if there was a specific thing about what you're landscaping with, but on those 2 areas, I don't know if there was specifications about whether it would be trees or just bushes or, I see the stuff, the greens, the green indicators, but I don't know what they are. And, one of the things that strikes me about Union Avenue is even though it's this high density street, it's a pretty attractive street when you drive down it because of the amount of landscaping and trees that are on that stretch from Campbell to McGlinchey. And so about the only place that there aren't trees is in front of this place presently. So it would be nice, from my perspective, to maximize some kind of green landscaping in the front so that we get that kind of continued feel for Union Avenue down to that point. So I was interested in whether or not you were going to put in a tree on the front there, if that was a tree.
Yeah, so there is a tree right here, and then you have shrubs and bushes.
So, I guess, would it be possible that like they're taking down one tree? I didn't quite catch if it was
It's in the back there somewhere.
correct or not, but like would it be possible to replace it with like a sidewalk tree, one of those street trees that we have elsewhere? Like
Well,
dedicate to the city to install one?
Yeah, I mean, the tree removal permit requires them to replace the tree, 1-for-1 ratio, which they are. There is a mechanism for them to provide a in lieu fee that goes to the city's street tree fund. But in this particular case, they are planting one tree, so technically they are compliant.
Okay, I'm like, I guess to put it broadly, like I'm pretty jazzed to see this this project here. The current development of the area seems very out of place on Union. This seems more in keeping with, you know, the area. So like, if it looks like you found a place for the tree, but if it was, you know, you can have 7 units or you can fit trees in, definitely prefer to figure out a way to fit 7 units in.
So I just want to go back to the thing about the you know, the large wall on the south side. And you know, I don't know what else you can do beyond putting up the 6-foot fence, but you know, as somebody who, since these are for sale units, somebody's going to invest in these units, and then they're going to look out their front window and they're going to see a big blank wall. So I don't know. I don't have a suggestion, but from an aesthetic point of view, and it's like I don't think we have any power to require anything. But as somebody who, you know, if I were going to be going in and living there and paying for the place, I'm not sure it's the ideal to go out on my balcony and see this big blank wall. Even though there's going to be a 6-foot fence, you're going to be up above that. So I don't know what else you can do, but I'm just bringing it up as from a appeal point of view about you know, having what will be mostly a fairly expensive townhome with that wall staring you in the face. So I just wanted to get that comment out, whether or not there's anything that can be done about it, short of somebody painting a big mural on it. I just wanted to get it out there.
You know, I mean, I live in a building that has a similar situation, and we've kind of done in the past, we did have a climbing vine. It's a little awkward because it's technically not our building.
Right.
The owner didn't really seem to care. So if the owner here doesn't mind if they install some sort of climbing vegetation, or yeah, maybe screening bamboo, but that can get kind of invasive.
But the problem is, where are you going to plant the vegetation?
I mean, yeah, you do have a very narrow landscaping strip.
Sorry, what's the blank wall you're talking about people looking at?
So on the south side, there's a big commercial right there.
Oh, that's only like the last half of the lot though, right?
It's a good portion of the lot.
Yeah, basically you would have this building right here.
It's about 3/4 of the lot. There's because it's set back.
Mm.
But it probably is going to be in front of at least 5 of the units.
But you're still like across the driveway from it anyway.
Correct.
It's not like you're, you know, 5 feet from a blank wall, which would be a little weird aesthetically speaking.
Yeah, you're 27 feet away. And I would also point out too that that property is not conforming. It's actually zoned for office. So at some point, maybe in the future, what's there shouldn't be there anymore. And if it ever does get redeveloped, there'll be something entirely different.
So like it looks like this is a very tightly constrained set of circumstances, in that, you know, that road has to be there. You have to have 7 units if you're going to make this meet the general plan minimum density. And if you're doing 7 units, it has to have that much footprint, because you have to have at least the footprint of 2 parking garages. And like, I have no idea how you would arrange this differently, but this seems like pretty much what we've dictated with our standards, that it's going to look like this.
Correct. I mean, we're lacking anything else on the books that really would limit it in any practical sense. I mean, that's the whole idea of objective standards in the future. We can kind of pre-plan somehow these projects will look, but for the time being, Yes, I mean, you're looking at a fairly nominal, fairly conservative amount of square footage in terms of living area, 1,300 square feet. You have a 2-car garage. These have 2-bedroom units, and the ADA unit has 4 bedrooms. It has the larger ground floor. And even the ADA, the original plans didn't even show this larger unit. That only came up upon view of our ADA consultant. He said, well, you need to have this larger unit. And so hence that footprint got a little larger. Otherwise, this was originally programmed as landscaping. So yes, what you're looking at here really is a combination of a lot of just minimal standards to get a project of 7 units. That's a townhome. I mean, the only other alternative would be to compel an apartment or condo building that's stacked, but then inevitably would be taller, and now you're violating height requirements. These buildings either go out or up.
Right. And if they go out, you don't get the density you're looking for. If they go up, well, it's R3. The height limit is what, 35 feet?
Yeah, which doesn't really allow you to achieve the height necessary. Now
Right.
you have the kind of economic limitations of that type of podium building, which is why they ended up with the townhome
Yeah.
construction. Is just cheaper to build and more economically.
I mean, I don't know like how keen people would be on a 4-story townhouse anyway. You would have to really love stairs.
Yeah. You know, I mean, just in general, as far as your design of the building, you know, I think it's attractive look, but I don't want to offend anybody, Mr. Wong, but I like 3D renderings. What I don't like about 3D renderings, and this one is that you put in something that isn't there, which is that this in the top one, the front here where there's some kind of courtyard that people are walking on, which in reality is not there. So, to me, it's like, I want to see what it really is. And you kind of did it in the dark, at the nighttime one, where you don't show that. So those are things I look at. I see, well, yeah, that's really not going to be this open space. And so I would rather it be true to what it's going to really look like. So just an editorial comment for future reference. That's all. Do you have any other questions?
Honestly, no, like I think it's an attractive building. One of the, I think I had 1 or 2 questions. I noticed there's and I'm really sorry if I've missed this, but I noticed there's the flat roof across all of them. Is that set up for possibly solar panels or something like that?
Gordon, can you answer that?
Oh, yes, that's correct. We are proposing like solar panels.
Okay, because it kind of looked like that on the drawing, but let's see. Yeah, I think this is I guess my other question would be, when once you get this approved from Planning Commission, about how long do you think it would be to have it constructed and ready for people to move in?
Let's see. Probably next year, October is possible.
So like constructed and like people buying them next October?
I'm not entirely sure on the finishes, but it'll be standing by next. I mean, I'm pretty sure the roof and all that be closed up by October.
Cool.
We already got a contract signed for building, so it's not a entitle it and get stuck thing. So if we can move on this, then we'll see some construction on it. It'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, we already got the framer. We have a licensed guy that can do all the excavation. They both have a business in Campbell. I think they're doing some construction with us right now. So it's very, very feasible.
that's great. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any comments about the notes made. Like, I understand that we're requiring, like, even with density bonus, we're requiring well, that you're setting it up with 2 parking stalls per unit and finding some way to, make it less than that to fit things differently is like a very different way of doing things. I'm just very impressed that you guys have managed to make this work. And I hope we can make this sort of project not take quite as much sort of Tetrising together of various pieces.
Yeah,
That is the hope.
So, yeah, I don't have any other particular notes on this. I'm looking forward to seeing this come before Planning Commission
Next month,
Next one.
next month.
13th.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's my birthday.
Yeah.
So I did have a couple questions for you on
Sure.
this that are somewhat relevant. So I'm a little confused here. Before this, I was told that any townhome or pretty much any multifamily development needed to have a PD rezoning. This is, as far as I can tell, it's being built as is in an R3 zone.
Yeah, so that is true, and that's how this was originally taken in. But with the change of leadership in our department, we decided that it was appropriate to use kind of a more creative use of density bonus in a way that the city hasn't historically done. Basically, a liberal reading of the law says that any development standard that physically precludes the development from happening to achieve its allowable density has to be waived or eliminated. And that's exactly what this project does. So we worked with the applicant to identify all the different development standards that stood in the way of it happening, identify those as legitimate waivers, and that allowed the project to proceed under its current zoning. And that precludes having to go through a legislative process of having to rezone the property to PD. And this means that this will stop with the Planning Commission. Don't need to go to City Council for the zoning change and the ordinance adoption and the weeks of delay. So this allows the permitting process to get done even more expediently. Because this is a more expansive use of the law.
I really appreciate that the department is doing that. So is it part of our upcoming objective standards work to make it so that, I guess, in the sense that, the R3 zone says, I'm for townhouses, and to change our standards so that you can actually build townhouses in there? Like we're currently using density bonus to get around the fact that our zoning code, as I think you noted in the write-up, that our zoning code just does not match our general plan.
Sure.
Is that part of the
It is.
standards? Okay,
It
so
is.
we're actually like not just codifying, but like really changing the standards to match the new general plan?
Correct. So we are working with a new consultant, and we are in tandem doing the general plan work and then the objective standard work that will be everything above single family residential. So not single family, we're just pushing that off to a later date. But anything beyond that, including townhomes, will in the future have very clear objective standards that will cover the building form, the layout of the property, and the architectural appearance of the buildings.
And these standards will be changed such that they're constructible without waivers?
Yes, that is the goal. So there is a big part of that update that will include kind of a test fit analysis to actually take the standards and the densities and see to what extent they're actually feasible, to ensure that they are feasible.
Okay.
It doesn't really serve anyone's interest to adopt standards that you can't build from.
One would think, yes. Okay. I really did go over this. I just don't have much to add about it. I do appreciate what Commissioner Zisser said about how there's sort of a blank industrial wall on one side of this, but I mean that's there. This is the best way it can be arranged to deal with that, and anyone buying into that side of it will be, in some sense, okay with it.
Time being.
So let me ask you one more question about the fact that you had to go to at least 7 units based on the density, based on the zoning for this to meet the density requirements, right? The minimum unit number, right?
Sure.
So it seems to me, I mean, you had to squeeze in 7 units here in this R3. In R3?
Correct. R3.
Okay. Is this going to be still the norm in the future? Or is this kind of an oddball thing In other words, are we gonna have other situations where you have what's an R3 circumstance where you have to squeeze in more units than maybe it makes sense to have normally?
Well, what do you mean it makes sense to have?
Because it's very tight. I mean, I think
Very
that,
tight based on the height restrictions.
I mean, that may be a question of whether or not it's appropriate to build townhomes at this density level.
Like what would be like, you mean as opposed to a different form, like a courtyard apartment, or, I mean, this is
Or
kind of a narrow.
Podium with units above it, correct?
Podium is essentially an underground parking garage.
Or it could be basic, well, a podium generally is a ground floor concrete level that then you have wood construction on top of.
Okay,
But basically you have vertical living as opposed to, these are actually fee simple lots. So the owners own the dirt underneath.
oh, okay, so this isn't.
They're not
this isn't-
condos
These are not
or
condos.
apartments. And so, yeah, this is, I mean, townhomes are generally done at the density range below this, which is why they're typically larger. This is very much squeezing in the townhome form into this density range. And so this may not necessarily be a feasible type in the future, but that's not a policy call, what we would want to achieve.
Okay, so for example, like we might want to see if townhomes fit in R2 zones, which I forget exactly what that's saying, like 16 to 21 per acre.
Something like that. And we're gonna be adjusting
everything. Yeah, but like.
Correct, but not necessarily in the higher density ranges.
Okay, so this is what higher density townhomes look like.
Correct.
Lower density townhomes would, maybe have more of a courtyard or
Side by
be-
side garages.
Yeah, or be, just like broader than a single garage or extend further back and have a little basement room.
More open space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And thus, I mean, that's the whole point of the objective standards, to really understand what's desirable within the density ranges that are being created in the new general plan.
Okay. But honestly, like I would be, especially on Union Avenue, like perfectly fine to, I mean, it's pretty, there's not a lot of like empty or underutilized lots on there, but like this is pretty amazing to like take sort of a disused lot and have it, built up like this. And really,
Well, I'd rather have this than what's there now. I mean, there's,
yeah.
there's no question about that. It's just that if you go down and look at some of the other places on Union Avenue, there's more open space. There's more green, there's more, even with some of the bigger apartment complexes. So, I mean, when you go into apartment complex, you don't necessarily always expect a lot of open space. But with a townhome or something, you would normally expect here to have a little bit more open space. So to me, it is squeezing it into.
Yeah.
Into
Yeah, this place, if you look at the apartment buildings, they're on, much larger lots, so they can sort of build, 3 or 4 stories up and have more space in between.
and they don't expect, if you're an apartment building, like one of the big ones, it's like, you go to the pool to get your open space, right? So,
Or across the street to Cianovich Park.
across the street. To the park, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
But yeah, I'm very amped at seeing this at Planning Commission.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think is there any, I think we've covered everything that's been listed there. Like I definitely understand like not wanting to underground the utilities here and being able to use a waiver concession on that.
Yeah, right.
I always get those mixed up.
Me
Thank you.
too.
And
Yeah, I wouldn't objecting to that either.
so, yeah,
And that also allows us to avoid a variance too. Because otherwise it'd have to.
right.
So through density bonus, we avoid that aspect.
Okay, and the
Simplifies.
variance would also have to go to the city council?
Yeah, it'd go to planning commission. It's just an extra regulatory burden.
Okay. Oh, and it costs.
It costs more.
Okay. Man, density bonuses are really useful.
They're exceedingly powerful
We are planning to fix the undergrounding ordinance at some point, right?
at some point, yes.
Okay. All right, does the applicant have any other questions or notes?
No, not at all. No.
All right, I was looking back in my notes to when this came here, December of 2020, and I'm very impressed with what you guys have done. Really happy to see it back here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great.
All right.
All right. Guys have a good evening.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.